Have you ever looked at the routines of, these ultra successful people, the artists, the founders, and felt this need to just copy one thing?
Oh, absolutely. The search for the secret.
Exactly. It's like if I just wake up at 5 a.m. or if I find that single monumental once in a lifetime transformation, then,
Right.
everything will just click into place.
It's the silver bullet fantasy. And it's so appealing because, well, our brains crave simple answers. But today, we are diving into a stack of material that completely dismantles that myth.
Right.
We aren't looking for a habit. We're searching for the structure underneath it all, what we're calling the meta habit, that really underpins sustained achievement.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We are going beyond the surface level stuff past the
Yeah.
5 o'clock alarm, and we're synthesizing material on specific rituals, deep psychological drivers like mindset, and critically, those external forces like luck. We have some fantastic research here, from psychological studies to economic critiques. Our job is to synthesize all of it and find the highest leverage actions for you right now. Okay, so where do we start?
We have to begin with the engine that powers everything, the foundational mechanism, compound consistency.
This concept, it completely reframes how we think about achievement, doesn't it? We
Yeah.
expect progress to be this, straight line. You put in X effort, you get X result.
But it just doesn't work that way. This research shows that success is fundamentally a lagging measure of your daily actions. It's not about some single heroic transformation.
It's about showing up.
It's about showing up. Consistency trumps intensity every single time. And the reason this is so hard to grasp is that our brains are, well, they're hardwired for linear thinking. But success operates exponentially.
Okay, so break that down.
Think about the classic analogy. A penny that doubles every day. For the first 2 weeks, it feels totally meaningless. You're barely making anything. But by day 31, that tiny, consistent effort has created over $10 million.
It's so counterintuitive because in the moment, that small action, day after day, it feels like you're doing nothing.
Precisely. And you don't see the massive returns until you cross what the research calls the plateau of latent potential.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and that's where the 1% better concept lives. Tiny incremental improvements are, they're invisible in the short term, they're frustrating, but they add up into these explosive, nonlinear results over months and years.
And the opposite is also true.
The opposite is catastrophic. A consistent decline of just 1% every day pretty much gets you to zero by the end of the year. It's a gentle slide into nothing.
And you see this principle everywhere. In fitness, a short, regular workout always beats a sporadic, intense one. With skills, 30 minutes of daily practice gives you way better results than trying to cram for hours on a weekend.
So the meta habit really is just that unwavering commitment to the small daily action.
Okay, so if consistency is the mechanism, how do successful people actually, put this into practice? We looked into the routines of some masters.
We did, and the big takeaway is that there's no single perfect routine. The key is finding an intentional structure that works for you.
Like Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
His whole thing was built on early structure and review. He was up at 5 a.m., had this whole routine, and was totally focused by 8 a.m. Very rigorous.
But then you look at someone like Stephen King. His genius might seem chaotic, but his process is incredibly structured through what you could call environmental control.
Tell me more about that.
He keeps his workspace arranged the same way every day, sits in the same chair, same time, has a glass of water, listens to the same music. That ritual becomes a cue. It's a trigger for his brain that says, okay, it's time to focus.
And what about for those of us who have, a really demanding day job that eats up all the prime hours? I'm thinking of Franz Kafka.
Kafka is a fascinating case. He was a busy, stressed out insurance agent by day, but he was so driven by this creative urge that he'd start writing at 10:30 at night and just go into the early morning.
Wow.
It just shows you have to carve out that intentional time for your passion no matter what.
But then there's a really interesting counterpoint to all this constant motion. Albert Einstein.
Yes, we often think productivity means you're always busy. But Einstein deliberately built in cognitive breaks. Long, solitary walks, or just, staring at the ceiling.
That wasn't laziness.
Not at all. It was intentional solitude. It was time to let his mind process incredibly complex thoughts.
It's this idea that your brain needs recovery too. And speaking of recovery, we can't ignore physical and mental health. We saw that former Lakers star Kobe Bryant meditated for 10 or 15 minutes every morning.
To stay focused.
Yeah.
And Barack Obama started his day with a 45-minute workout 6 times a week. These aren't vanity habits. They're foundational for sustaining high-level mental effort.
Okay, so we have the engine compound consistency, and we have the fuel, these diverse intentional routines. But now, I guess the question is, are we pointing the car in the right direction?
Exactly. If you're consistently working on low-impact tasks, you're just getting nowhere faster. You need a map.
And that's where strategic frameworks come in. The most common one we see is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
A classic. The idea is, roughly 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. The goal is to find those vital few tasks and just pour your consistent energy into them.
Like Damon John, the entrepreneur, he's always evaluating his time. He'll do emails on a plane specifically to save his office hours for the big, high-impact strategy sessions.
Right.
So for you listening, a really practical application is to block out 20% of your day, that's about 90 minutes, and focus only on your single highest priority task. No interruptions.
And that need for protection leads right into the Eisenhower matrix. This is the one that sorts all your tasks by urgency and importance. You get 4 quadrants.
You've got do, decide, delegate, and don't do.
And here's the critical insight, where most people completely derail their consistency. So many of the core success habits, learning, planning, strategic review, they're important, but they are almost never urgent.
They all fall into quadrant 2.
Exactly. Quadrant 2 is the growth quadrant.
Yeah.
But compound consistency demands that you protect that Q2 time against the fires in Q1 and the interruptions of Q3.
Yeah.
If you're always answering urgent but unimportant emails, you are never, ever building that long-term advantage.
But wait, that quadrant 2 time is always the first thing to go. You schedule a 90-minute strategy block, and 5 minutes later, some Q1 emergency blows it up. Do the sources offer any defenses against it?
They do. 2 main things. First, radical scheduling. You have to treat your Q2 time like a non-negotiable meeting with your most important client. And second, you have to proactively identify those Q3 tasks, the interruptions, the busy work, and just aggressively delegate or eliminate them.
You have to create distance from the distractions.
You have to. And on scheduling, that pro tip we found is great. Schedule custom time blocks. A 23-minute meeting, not 30. A 47-minute work session. Those weird little gaps give you mental breathing room and prevent burnout.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we've covered the what consistency and the how strategy. But what happens when things get tough? When the results aren't showing up? We need fuel.
We need the internal engine.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the psychological drivers, motivation and mindset.
And the distinction between internal and external motivation is just foundational here. Chasing a promotion, getting compliments.
Yeah.
That's external. And the research is so clear, it's unsustainable.
It's unsustainable because it's outside of your control. The moment the compliments stop, your fuel source is just gone. You're vulnerable.
Right.
But internal motivation, that's different. It's driven by the desire to make yourself better. You're focusing on variables you control, like your own skill or mastery. The effort itself becomes the reward.
And that resilience feeds directly into mindset, Carol Dweck's work. If you have a fixed mindset, you believe your abilities are static. A setback proves you're just not smart enough.
Which is a dead end. But the growth mindset, the belief that your skills can expand with practice, that is the key to sustaining consistency. With a growth mindset, a setback isn't a verdict, it's just data.
It's a learning opportunity.
Exactly. Your internal thought becomes, okay, that strategy didn't work, I need to change my approach. That flexibility is absolutely non-negotiable for long-term progress.
And you can cultivate this. It's not about just being optimistic.
Yeah.
As a leader or a parent, you have to model it. Share your own struggles. Praise the effort, not the gift. And frame mistakes as essential.
So we've talked a lot about internal control consistency, mindset, strategy, but now we have to introduce the necessary and maybe uncomfortable nuance. Hard work alone does not guarantee success.
You have to acknowledge the role of luck.
You have to. Warren Buffett frames this perfectly with his ovarian lottery idea. He says, where and when you're born determines way more than what school you go to, how hard you work.
Ignoring that leads to some dangerous thinking.
It really does. That's why we need to differentiate 2 types of success. First, there's absolute success, becoming a billionaire, global fame. That outlier status is, it's overwhelmingly attributable to variance, luck, the right genes, the right time.
But then there's the other kind.
Then there's relative success, or mild success. This just means outperforming your peers who had a similar level of luck. That outcome is determined by your consistent habits and choices.
So luck might determine the altitude of your runway.
But your daily habits determine your trajectory on that runway. And while you can't control the luck you're born with, you can increase your surface area for good luck.
The harder I practice, the luckier I get.
That's the idea. You take action, you pursue opportunities, and you increase the chance that when luck does show up, you are ready for it.
And there's another layer to this external complexity, which is the system itself. We found research on the success to the successful archetype.
Which is basically the rich get richer effect. Initial advantages, getting more time from a manager, say, can reinforce future achievement. The system starts allocating more resources to the person who got that early lucky break.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It does, and it challenges that simple just work harder narrative. But it brings us right back full circle to the internal traits we can control to maximize our results within that system.
Conscientiousness.
Conscientiousness. It's part of the Big Five personality model. It's things like discipline, organization, achievement striving.
It's the internal drive.
It's the internal drive. It has a huge positive correlation with academic and workplace success. So while luck may deal you your hand, conscientiousness is how you play that hand to get the absolute best result possible relative to everyone around you.
So, to synthesize this entire deep dive, success isn't one thing. It's not a single moment. It demands consistent, strategically applied action, all powered by internal motivation and a flexible growth mindset.
That's the full picture. Your daily habits are the engine that determines the steepness of your success curve. But, and this is vital understanding that your curve has a unique starting point, a y-intercept determined by luck is key. It fosters humility when you succeed and empathy for others.
And that leaves us with a provocative thought for you to think about this week. We saw that systems can create these self-fulfilling prophecies of success based on where resources go first. So considering this, maybe the most ambitious goal for any leader or organization shouldn't be just identifying who is successful. Maybe it should be designing environments where the structure itself supports all people to thrive. So what single element of your current environment at work, in your community, or just in your personal life could you modify today to make success not just possible but inevitable for everyone involved?